All right, we are recording. All right, I'm gonna call the meeting to order. And first let me say thank you for showing up. Thank you for showing up on Zoom. You're not helping us reach quorum, but it's better to be here than not be here at all. That way, than not be here. So, I will say a few more things about protocol and things like that later in the meeting. We're gonna operate according to the protocol that we have been using. The first item on the agenda is approval of the agenda, and our parliamentarians not here. There is, for me to ask this question, there's one change in the agenda, and that is we are not at this meeting going to vote on the academic calendar for 24-25. So does that need an official change in the agenda? It's still on the agenda, but we're gonna discuss it. We're not gonna vote on it. I asked for.
Will there be any discussion about the calendar? Then it remains on the agenda.
There will only be my explanation of what's happening next with the calendar, which might be kind of considered discussion, but I don't really want to hear from you all unless Abdul, our registrar, has something to say. John, welcome.
So you want to remove,
Do we want to remove the agenda?
not change it, not just change the vote, you want to remove like that line?
I'm gonna discuss it. Oh, you can say something if you want. John, come on, go look for your name badge and have a seat by the heavy. Or wherever you want.
Yeah.
Just okay, no problem. So I am going to use my authority as chair and say the agenda remains. We're just going to discuss the calendar. We're not going to vote on a calendar at this meeting. So, do I need a voice vote for the agenda? All in favor of this agenda? Thank you. Okay. Approval of the minutes from January 10th. I've had one correction on the minutes from January 10th, with you only, our apologies, just received today. That correction is Anthony was listed as present in person, but he was on Zoom, as we're trying to delineate that, a very small change. Were there any other corrections to the agenda?
Minutes.
Any additions to the agenda? Minutes is what I'm doing. I am really doing minutes. It's really good I'm not running for president because I could be accused of the wrong words come out all the time. So I am talking about the minutes.
You are,
Even
okay.
when I say agenda, you know what I mean. Okay, so minutes, are there any changes or corrections for the minutes? I actually need agenda, so take the context and work backwards. Okay. All right, hearing no additional changes to the minutes are approved with that one correction. I'm so glad. Next item on the agenda, and I'm going to interrupt myself just to remind us, at 3:30, a photographer comes in and we all pause, gather together and have a photo taken. And then we get back to the meeting, right? So, and that photo is because many were absent and so many are absent today, but a lot of you are here. And so the photo will be for the Senate website. So at 3:30, that's happening. I'm sure I know I won't remember, but we'll see them come in. So, next item on the calendar or on the agenda is the vote on the curriculum committee items. There was one item on the curriculum committee consent calendar, and that calls for a roll call vote. Again, yes, Anthony.
Move to approve the consent calendar.
Oh, thank you for reminding me of that. Second. So Anthony made the motion and Jeannie made the seconded. So we need a roll call vote. If you vote to affirm the consent calendar item, single item this time, you say aye. No is no. And when we're ready for the roll call, take it away. Are you doing that for us, Jill?
We're good, yes.
Okay.
Senator Correa.
I'm here.
How are you voting? Aye.
Thank you. Senator Pappas.
Aye. And I'm here.
Senator Rushing.
Aye.
Senator Gertner.
Aye.
Senator Jaman.
Am I saying it correctly?
Aye. Thank you. Senator Buckley Lockhart.
Aye.
Senator Honorado.
Aye.
Good voting, good voting. He's very excited to vote today. Senator Strike. Senator Hamilton. Aye. Senator Calantria. Senator Davis Cooper. Aye. Senator Johnson.
Aye.
Thank you. Senator Isaac. Aye. Senator Inukanda.
Aye.
Senator Gordon Conyers. Senator Z. Senator Senko. Senator O'Sullivan.
Aye.
Senator Roski. Senator Fletcher.
Aye.
Thank you. Senator Kehoe. Aye. Senator Alovin.
Agim, are you there? Must not.
Honorable,
Oh,
There we go.
hello. No, we're looking, oh, yes, Agim, he,
Oh, it's in the chat.
it's in the chat, aye.
Aye, there we go.
Great, thank you, Agim.
Senator Azim.
aye.
Thank you, Senator Hassan.
Aye.
And Senator Mutebi.
Aye.
Thank you. And Chairperson Bruns.
Aye. So the curriculum consent calendar items pass. Thank you very much, everybody, and thank you to the, I don't think that Priyanka is here today. But thank you. Did we take, yes,
We should have said a question.
number of votes. Number of votes in affirmative was, how many are we now? 20? 19, 20, 21?
More because we have online voters that are not
Oh,
included
yeah.
in quorum, so give me 1 second. 1, 2.
Got it. So in just a moment, we'll have the number who said aye or who are in favor.
Six.
26 in favor, no, 0 no. And the ayes have it. Thank you, Erica. I appreciate that. Would be lost without the parliamentarian. The next item on the agenda is the academic calendar for the year 24-25. The next year. We pulled that from a vote. Remember last week I sent it out for you to seek feedback from constituents. There was a constituent who came back with some significant feedback, some of which is our actual improvements. And so the calendar has been amended significantly enough that we're sending it back to academic standing. Academic Standing Committee with Abdul, our registrar, thank you very much for all of that work, is meeting on Monday. After their meeting on Monday, when they have approved the academic calendar, we will hold an emergency vote by email of the Senate to approve the academic calendar next year. Week. Holy cow, next week, it's next year's calendar, we will hold an email vote. So senators, do you have questions about that? Yes, Senator.
When do we have to vote for?
You, I don't know when by, it depends on when, if the academic standing committee is able to approve that the calendar at that meeting, then we'll have that word on Monday and I will send out a request for a vote on Tuesday and would like it in a couple of days.
I was going to say the other option could be to hold a special meeting.
Hold a special meeting, but I'd really like to not do that. Yeah, we can, because of the effort involved in getting people to show up at the same time. Yeah.
Is it gonna be just an email or are you gonna create a poll?
You can do a voting poll without.
Well, I mean, that's
I
what I'm
could
asking.
do a voting poll.
I mean,
Yes, I had not thought about that. Yeah, and that would make sense. That make it easier to count, and maybe we could have the Senate Secretary.
especially the alternates and, you know, like if you're sending it out, like, you know, the rep would be the one really this, only one who's really voting.
Yeah, the alternate wouldn't vote if the reps are all available.
I'm just not certain if everyone's familiar with that feature in Outlook, so some guidance will need to be provided.
And I'm not
Do the
familiar,
students
so
have access to
guidance to me would be provided as
Yeah,
well.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yes, Abdul?
If you, I can create the poll for you. If you
Great.
need it, and then,
We'll let Denise send it out.
okay,
There's the Senate Secretary, and then you just need to be watching for it. Okay, I may follow up with an email from my email account, just so you can say, hey, did you see this? We'll give you just a couple of days to do it. If it takes a little more time to approve, to review and approve the calendar, it could be, I mean, like, if you meet about it and say, wait, we need to do a little more work here, and we're not ready to approve it on Monday, it could take, but hopefully during next week at some point, you'll get an email with the revised calendar and a poll to approve. Good. Any questions? Any corrections?
I would just say that I don't need as much guidance as you suggested. The worst thing would be that you have to log in. That's the worst scenario.
If we're
I
already
say
in,
that because I'm on another committee, and although I see it, a lot of others haven't seen it at the top of the email. It's kind of weird, and it's not available to you on your mobile phone. You see, so I know a lot of folks use their mobile device to respond to email, so it's not available.
Yeah, we just have to make sure that the students have access to it, that it's not, you know, sometimes some of that stuff is only for faculty, like we might have to make sure it's on both.
so
Right.
if the poll can be created through, Microsoft Office forms. It'll be a link, you don't need any account to sign in, it's like the other forms that we send out. There will be no requirement to sign in, so everyone should have access to it. I think Denise, I'll share it with you.
great.
And then there'll be no access requirements.
So be watching for that. Obviously, the time pressure is that we really need to have this calendar approved, but we also need it to be workable and ready to go. So we're gonna try to make that happen in a week ahead. Okay. Abdul, thank you so much for your work on that. Katrina is the interim, are you interim or are you officially the chair of the Academic Standing Committee, Katrina?
I'm the interim chair.
Interim chair, while Lila is on sabbatical, so Katrina stepped up at a crucial time in the middle of lots of emails from me and everybody. So thank you so much, Katrina. Katrina has another item on the agenda. That is the vote on the online learning policy or the college catalog. And so we need a motion and then a second, and then we can have any discussion about that policy. I trust you read the policy before you arrived. Would someone like to move that we approve the online learning policy that's been submitted? Sandra? Yeah, second, Rochelle, thank you. So is there any discussion?
Oh,
Are you ready for the question? Is that what you're saying? Oh, which means, do you want to discuss it first? Or are you ready to? This is one. Yeah, we've got the
on
motion,
the motion to move
the,
approve
the online learning policy. And the online learning policy is a reminder, Sandra, remind us what it's focused on? The screen cameras on.
Right.
Yeah. Welcome, please do. Discussion.
So Erica, I'm okay if you're gonna yell at me for this question. I know that we've also now have an emergency online policy. Does that have to be included with the online or? So there was a new policy I saw in the email about moving classes online in cases of an emergency. Is that? No, can you see that?
Yes, that's right.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Christie?
Yeah, but I think the questions to the.
Katrina has a comment. Yes, Katrina.
I was just wondering if I could just say a few words to provide a little bit of context, which I think might answer the question I'm hearing about some other online learning considerations in coordination with the policy. Um, so I just wanted to kind of start by saying that for this particular online learning policy, it's just a start to an online policy where we believe more work will need to be done and will be done. This was actually a policy that was drafted by the Online Learning Committee, and it connects to one of the 26 recommendations that was voted on by the Senate as worthy to pursue. And it actually specifically connects to recommendation 1.4 about the minimum technology requirements for students. So we, in the Academic Standing Committee, added 2 modalities, high flex and high field, so that all the modalities would be represented. But currently in the catalog under under academic requirements, there's a section called in-person and online learning. And in that section, there's a description of in-person and online learning course modalities and requirements. However, it's not actually a policy. So it becomes the responsibility of the instructors, program directors, and chairs to make students aware of the requirements. So we're presenting the policy, which has the language of the requirement by modality, so that it can go into the catalog as an official policy that can then be enforced. And that is the requirements needed for students to fully engage in a specific modality, whether it be working cameras, microphones, computers, et cetera, depending on the modality. And then instructors, program directors, and chairs would have the option of telling students they could have their camera off. But that is the only kind of component of the online learning that we're currently addressing. Thank you.
Great.
Just for clarification, then the emergency online learning will just be a separate goal.
Does the emergency online learning policy,
That hasn't been brought to the Senate.
that hasn't been brought to the Senate?
Yeah, we've got the one that doesn't. Faculty.
So we're gonna talk about that first. Then figure, so it has not come to the Senate, just this is what's come to the
So
Senate.
that's one of the.
Yeah,
The online policy that we're voting on has one small change. I don't have an opinion, sorry.
change from what?
Just
Or, excuse me, in addition, to duplicate what was said in a previous description of of one of the online modalities. So,
Okay. And
if Katarina, if she may just
Katarina, do you-
read the new change.
Oh, absolutely. So it says the hybrid synchronous online mix hybrid synchronous / online mix / high flex / high field has the requirements for enrolling in these classes as computer, working camera and microphone, reliable broadband internet, be visible on camera during class. And so that's the only adjustment that we made to add the high flex and high field. We came back to ask the online learning committee their thoughts around that. Received feedback from one of the members who said they thought that was representative. Our idea being that any class with an online learning component, students would then be aware of what the requirements to be successful with that online learning component would be.
so there's an additional, what's the additional word?
Actually, I can share my screen.
I think you
Fine.
might be able to.
There we
And then I see Rebecca's got a
Uh,
question.
Can someone turn off one of the lights that's over
I can try.
over the screen?
There we go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So would you highlight what's different than the one that we saw, the one that I went out with?
Sorry. Okay, sorry, I may have to minimize the screen. It's actually a screenshot. So it's actually bullet point 3. So I can't actually highlight it since it's a screenshot, but if you look at bullet point 3, it's the final 2 pieces, high flex, comma, high field.
All right, so it's just 2 additional terms to describe, or they're used for a mixed modality class.
Correct.
Okay, great. So,
Those have in-person components, but the thinking was that anyone taking advantage of the online components would then know what the requirements are.
okay. Sounds good. So this is the policy that we are voting on today. Any additional, oh, Rebecca, you had your hand up?
I just wondered if students will understand this title, hybrid synchronous slash online mix slash high flex slash high field. And I wondered if we could make it shorter or clarify. I just don't know. I just had the question about that title being confusing.
I feel like the descriptions are somewhere else. Is it, Katarina?
Yeah, they're actually in the under academic requirements in the catalog. It was actually why we added the two high flex and high field, because high flex and high field were included in the academic requirements. And we wanted students that were involved in the online component of those modalities to also be aware of what the requirements would be if they chose not to go in person and engage in the online component.
All right, Sandra, anything to add? Because Sandra co-chairs the online learning committee.
The definition of the modalities is also on the online learning webpage.
Yeah.
The online learning webpage and in the academic.
Student resource page.
Yeah. Okay, so it's in other places. I think we need the efficiency of just naming them here.
I just think it would be helpful to have the definitions along with the policy for next to, I don't know
Well-
where it's found.
Right,
Online.
and that, actually, that's not our purview.
No,
Our
I know, I was
purview
just
is,
saying.
yeah, so the recommendation might be when it
That
comes to the
kind of
catalog, so that the students can figure out what's going on when they
Section
read
of
this,
that.
yeah. So, all right, any other comments or questions? Thank you for sharing your screen with us, Katarina.
Sorry, I'm just gonna figure out how to stop this shit.
Then, we're ready to vote, right?
Are you ready?
I'm ready for the question. Oh, are you ready for the question?
Which question is that, the adoption of the motion?
The adoption of a motion to approve this online learning policy that we just saw.
I knew that we voted.
We already did,
Oh, yeah.
because you gotta do that before we discuss, because I've been paying attention. So, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? No, it is approved unanimously. Thank you, the motion carries, that's a good word. Sandra, thank you for your work on this, and Katerina, thank you for your work on this. Both committee chairs contributed, to make, both committees contributed to making this happen. Next, we have, two vacancies to fill. A vacancy on the executive committee, Douglas DiCarlo, who's been a faithful senator, is having some health issues and is not able to continue his role on the executive committee, leaving us another vacancy. I'll preview this in a moment, but the committee on committees had one vacancy already, but its member and chair, Leslie Skamaka, also having some health issues and is not able to continue on the committee. We'll come to the committee on committees in a moment. First is the executive committee, which, should remind you, is the committee that makes decisions and does the planning for the Senate meetings. We meet once before each Senate meeting, and you get a few emails from me with questions along the way. So, and I am gonna give, it's not anywhere in the minutes, I don't know where it comes in discussion, I'm gonna give a little speech. I'm not even asking you. I want to remind faculty senators, staff senators are doing a lot of work on Senate. Staff senators have 9 to 5 daily jobs with supervisors. Faculty senators, they have supervisors, and we very much work our own hours. If I want to grade papers for 8 hours on a Saturday, I do, because there is no one monitoring my, I don't ever 8, but I will 5 or 6. I mean, that's when, I just want to remind all senators of the difference in work life between faculty of the college and staff of the college. And Patricia? Okay, she's got something there. So I want, if you are a faculty senator and you're working a lot, thank you, good. I'm encouraging faculty to step up because it's a little easier for us to squeeze work for Senate into how our schedules work. Because if I want to work in my pajamas all morning when I am not teaching, which I regularly do, including this morning. So there's a little bit more freedom for faculty in determining how we work. Therefore, I want to urge faculty senators to step up for some of the needs of the work of the Senate. Patricia, what do you want to add?
I just wanted to add also that for the staff, there is no recognition for doing Senate, whereas for faculty, it's a contribution. If you're not a full-time professor and you still have to do evaluation, it's a contribution. The staff, it doesn't matter. If they get the time, it's on their own time. So I think there's a lot of inequity in that respect. So, and faculty, well, professors don't have to do anything but teach, and if they want to do research. So little Senate committee ain't gonna kill anybody.
And Jill's got an important question that's come up, but I want to say one more thing. Which is, in my role as chair of Senate, I sit on the president's cabinet, and I have said to cabinet, we need to acknowledge the contributions to governance that the staff are making. So which means all the VPs have heard this, and I will continue to recognize the work of the staff in governance, which is not, faculty have to do something like this as part of our college service and leadership, it counts. But, so I want to make sure that you are recognized and to the extent possible welcomed. I know that the understaffing in most of our offices at the college is severe. And that is also something faculty, sure, we complain about our workloads, but it's not the same. So,
And also for some of the president's office, I'm thinking about Sabine, right? Is that they only have 5 people or so? So how many people can serve? Like 3, 5? We have many more that can rotate, that can take some of the work, but some of you are in very small divisions and you still have to fill out the seat. So it's a lot more on, I think, even the smallest department has more people than the president's office. So there's more to go around.
yeah, I agree. So I just wanted to make that clear, and I will continue to press you to step up. The question came up regarding the executive committee, and I can't remember. Can an alternate senator serve on the executive committee of the Senate? No,
We discussed that.
I knew.
Million times. No, it's something that might be in the new plan, we opened the door in the new
I
plan.
have the old plan up here, and it says,
It's not the old, it's the current.
Yeah.
The 2009 is still.
2000, but it's still, you're right. Must come from the membership of the Senate.
In the current plan, alternates are not members. In the new plan, we are making alternates. members.
Got it.
So that was, we've had alternates who wanted to serve and
Thank you for addressing that.
Yes.
And for those of you who are newer on the Senate, we are still operating under the 2009 governance plan, even though we went through several years of revising the governance plan. But it has been approved by the President Adams. It has not been submitted to the Board of Trustees because we are waiting on the chairs
That we're voting on
duties
today.
that we're voting on today, or looking at. We're not voting, we're discussing it. We're voting on it in April.
That's right.
We're discussing it today, and that's the last piece that's gonna go on the governance plan, and then we'll hopefully get approved by President Adams and sent to the Board of Trustees so that it can take effect in the fall. Right? Maybe, you think? Oh,
It depends on when it goes to the board.
it depends on when it goes to the Board of Trustees. So, all right, today,
So we're not having an election.
today we're having an election for executive committee, if we have any candidates. And I did not, do we have ballots?
In the bag.
So we need a nomination or nominations of additional members. One additional member for the executive committee is what we're looking for, non-student. We have 2 students already serving on the executive committee. So it needs to be, yes, Sabine?
Can you talk about what the commitment's going to be? So is it
So
more meeting?
Yeah. 1 hour and a half. The Monday, 10 days before Senate, usually, to plan the Senate meeting on Zoom. Doesn't take going anywhere. It would be for the remainder of the year, which is through October, because then we'll elect a new executive committee. So that means there will be a meeting in early April, a meeting in early May, a meeting in preparation, I think end of May for the June meeting, and then a meeting in September. So it is, Senate is a little more than 2 hours of a meeting. Executive committee is one additional meeting to plan that. So, and you are not a faculty member, so.
No.
Gail, no pressure. The meetings are usually Mondays, 3:30 to 5 on Zoom, ideally shorter than that, but that's when we've been having them. If they don't work for somebody, we can move that meeting, but it'll confuse me because I'm used to not have it. Sorry if those of you on the owl who are looking at my back. So are there any volunteers or nominations to fill the empty seat on the executive committee?
I want to know.
Roman, did I see your hand?
No one wants, I can make them.
Okay. Any other nominations?
I was gonna nominate Rochelle Isaac.
Because
I think
she'd be great. But because she is president of faculty council,
Yeah.
it's a little bit complicated. So she's in leadership of one body already, it just gets to show up here. It's like John. Any other nominations? None. We can't, because it's executive committee, it needs to be secret ballot, and I did not quite plan this thoroughly. So would you take a ballot? Pass it around. Pass it around. If you are on Zoom,
Oh, you want to make that?
pass some around. Yeah, pass some around. I might have ended up disabling a Zoom poll. Let's see if I can do it. Just executive council.
Member.
Executive council, yes, executive, two executive council at-large member. Oh, yeah, executive committee. Don't ask me when I'm doing something else. Okay.
We have one.
Roman, hold up your name placard.
Today.
I am.
Executive committee at large seat.
We have to write that word. Here's what I have failed to organize a Zoom poll. If you are a senator and are on Zoom right now, would you put in the chat if you vote for Roman? The chat is not open publicly, so I'm gonna say it's secret, even though Joe can see it in the comments, but the comment, and first, so those of you who, oh, well, you will see it once.
The only vote out was issued.
Hold on.
Their decision to Christie directly. They have to send it to the corporation. Christie, can you change?
I'm trying to share, oh, wait.
Well, I think they got
If
it.
not,
Yeah.
ask them if
They have to do
send
it.
it to you directly via chat
Oh, okay, yeah, chat with me directly.
instead of to everyone.
That's a good idea.
Great idea.
Again, I can create a poll, but I can't do it in the middle of the meeting. Too confused. So send a message to me, to Christy, and then, and we can.
Yes, I can do that.
And then would somebody count them?
Yeah, you need someone to count, a teller.
They can choose. I think
I know. We should have Rebecca. Again, Zahara, and Laura, and Leah. And few hours of silence.
In the past, we used to. She had, I just think she was policy, she said, I couldn't do that because it was the whole validating and all that stuff, but we used to, he used to be up there, I don't know, like, he's on the camera. But. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking.
Unless you. No,
you know what,
She said, no, and he was, she did, and then she was, she was, she was, speak to all that. You know, you know.
So, those of you, if you are a senator and you are on Zoom, would you send a private message to me with your vote? And the candidate's name is Professor Roman Senkoff, but just Roman is enough.
Do you have 5 votes from the chat, Christine?
I have 1. But there's 3 students.
There are 4 students online, 4 students and Rebecca.
There's three students? Oh, 4. I see Elias just arrived. Student senators, if you send me a private message saying you vote for the executive committee, I got yours, Rebecca. But yours is the only one. But yeah.
That's
me.
Thank you, Jill.
Everyone doesn't have.
I know who. Oh, you know what?
And Jill know.
I know who the senators are. But, Agim, Zahara, Anwarul, and Aliyah, do you want to vote for senator? I mean, for executive committee member? Send me a, thank you. I got a second. And I don't know, I would like to move on. Have you counted?
We have 21 in favor.
21 in favor. We have 2 votes for on Zoom. And we had said senators on Zoom needed to use their cameras. I know that Rebecca has been on, oh yeah, I see you, Rebecca. We'll deal with that later. Yeah. Okay. Welcome to the executive. I will tell you right now, our next meeting is April 1st, Sunday. Okay, thank you. Then there's 2 vacancies on the committee on committees. Let me say a word there. So the committee is currently without a chair. The committee elects its own chair, which means one of the members will be elected chair. However, I believe there are very few members on the committee who have any experience with the committee on committees. And new members may have some, but are not able to be chair. I have spoken with the past chair, Chairess Victory, who is no longer a senator, but she is willing to mentor and guide the new chair of the committee on committees. Welcome. Hello. Are you a senator?
She's secretary of SGA. Would you be able to sit?
Anybody is welcome to sit in. Anybody can. Welcome. Thank you for being here. The committee on committees will want to meet after this meeting briefly to elect their chair. That chair, I will put in touch with Chairess who is not currently a senator, but who can work to support and guide and help the committee function. She has agreed to do that. So are there, and we have two student candidates already on the committee. Neither of whom are here today. I know where one is. I don't know where the other one is. But then we need two faculty or staff members.
So that's all that's on the committee right now?
No, the committee includes Elizabeth Strike, Lisa Flores, and Amy Ellen. Amy, how do you? Melania, oh yeah, she's still there. How do you say her first name? Amy. Just Amy. Yeah, that's it, and there's all those other letters. Got it. So those are the members of the committee, in addition to Abir Ebon and John Morales, both of whom are not here today. Are there any candidates for the committee? I mean, the role of the committee on committees is to facilitate the staffing of the rest of the committees of the Senate. And I have one big job that we're going to do with or without them, the committee this year, which I'll mention next. Any candidates?
I'm gonna nominate myself, but now you're scaring me.
No. Well, and I am also gonna help. I mean, because it has to happen, right? We have to have this committee. Jeannie is nominating herself. We don't have to do, secret ballot this time also, so we can just do. And any other candidates? Jeannie, thank you so much for contributing. Two seats. We still have one vacancy.
I'm alternate.
Yeah.
You can be on the committee. This can be on the committee. It's not an elected position technically. You wear colors that stand out.
Thank you, Thomas. That is the executive committee. That does not apply. to the committee on committee.
I told her.
All right. Candidates are Jeannie, Buckley Lockhart, and Thomas O'Neill. Yeah. And we, it's
It's
not,
just the same though in the governance plan.
what?
The committee on committee shall be elected from among the members of the college senate. Sorry to be a pain.
Are you so disappointed, Thomas?
I mean, I'm trying to remember, when he was chair, wasn't there time? Patricia's out.
That's why,
I think when
she just
Hugo
came
was chair, I think,
in.
because he was the only one on the committee, I think he was like, I think he was technically like either an alternate or not even the Senate. I mean, we've had, because,
Yeah.
For
well,
most of the time, I was in the Senate before I became chair. The committee on committees was,
yeah, it was basically Hugo after a while.
after Hugo was the music guy, whose name I can't remember.
Oh, right, yes.
Yeah, so the committee can operate, but, Jeannie will add you. Committee, meet with me after, we'll see, what we need is like a point person. Yeah, Thomas, you're off the hook, only this time.
Wait,
But,
I'm gonna mess with you
I'll
next.
fill it.
we are included too, because Thomas is an alternate, and the current governance plan says the same thing about member of Senate. And member of Senate is in the current governance plan is only senators, not alternates.
And so, well, I told you, I said, I mean, if need be, I'll.
Would you help out?
But I can't share it,
You can't share it, okay.
but I have served on committees before, so.
Thank you. Which, Anthony, your guidance would also be really helpful. All in favor, we do not need to see your vote, so we can do voice vote. All in favor of Jeannie and Anthony joining the committee on committees, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any nays? Don't you dare. All right, my one other little speech that's not part of this, the committee that is in desperate need of filling is the elections committee. It has no chair and currently no members. But I wanted, and the work has been done by Patricia, who's established, she's back, who has established protocols, procedures, documented it all. But I just say this to you, you will hear from the committee on committees, I trust, but even if we don't, we need, I mean, the Senate depends on, obviously, elections happening. And one person should not do the whole thing. I mean, one person's had a little bit of help, but not a lot of help. So, there is someone ready to teach you how to do elections, but that's a huge need that we have. The work starts a little bit in the spring.
The problem is that the work committee, the election committee, I mean, ideally, once we don't have the Senate calendar, so we can't do anything. First, we need a Senate calendar to put in the dates for the application to send to students. So that's the first thing we need to do. The issue, the difficult part is the student election. The rest of the election is just process. It's the student elections because we need to advertise, we need to recruit, and we need to get it done. So that's the issue. And for the work can happen a little bit at the end of August, and then the rest in September. So that's why faculty, it's always an issue. Faculty were not around. When you start, when everybody comes back, first week of class, everybody's super busy, and I end up, kind of doing it with Surratt and, luckily with my.
So just to be clear, you and Surratt are stepping down?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay.
I'd like to pass it on to somebody, but Surratt stepped down as the chair of the committee, so I can do the stuff, but I need more people.
She's not even a senator right now.
And it's okay, I can do the elections, I think, if I'm not a senator, so.
Yeah.
And actually, we should do the election, not a senator, let's do it. We should fairness.
Not a senator.
But so it's just like, I'd like to pass it on to somebody else at some point, like, Anthony passed it on to me, so that I have to pass it on to somebody else.
But how many years have you been doing it?
No, at the time I was chair, I was doing it. So
Quite a few years.
And it's always bumpy. At some point, there's always something. There are things we can't do until the beginning of the semester. Once we have the list of employees, there are a lot of things in terms of elections that we need to do at the last minute. But it would be nice if we could split the work.
Yeah.
Because we have department, divisions, and students. And I think this year is an easy year. Because there's fewer elections. There's 1 year when we tend to replace a lot of people, and then 1 year when it's much less.
All right, thank you for that, Patricia. We don't need any action on this. We just needed to make you aware of it. And again, the faculty are better able, except for the summer annual leave, otherwise better able to manage their own time to make this work. Okay, so we have 2 new members of the Committee on Committees. You got that? Next on the agenda is discussion of the proposed chair's duties for the governance plan. And we're not voting on this at this meeting. We will vote on it hopefully in April, but I wanted to bring it forward for discussion today. And I trust you saw, I did not plan ahead to pull this up to share the screen. But if you have your email, your Senate invitation email, it is an attachment on that email. So for students, this is the department chairs, the chairs of MEC and business and English, and it's articulating their duties. And the hope is that the intention is that we'll add this to the governance plan. So, yes.
Please have to remember the photos.
It's in my notes. So I'm gonna, yeah, if you are a faculty member, you might know this, you should know this. I sent all the faculty members an email. I did not, well, I'll tell you what it is, and then I'll tell you why I did not email the full sentence. But the university provost is proposing changes to the CUNY bylaws and the CUNY manual of general policy. Part of those changes are changes in the chair's roles. First, I emailed it to all of the faculty. I'm involved with a couple of faculty governance leaders from other CUNY schools and a couple of members of the UFS in gathering input about this and creating a response from the UFS and the faculty governance leaders. So we're having our first meeting about that on Friday, another meeting next Friday to discuss these changes that the university provost has proposed for provost roles, which don't exist in the bylaws right now because there is no provost in the bylaws. Dean's roles, deans that don't relate to LaGuardia, not the deans that we have. It's the bigger schools that have separate schools within them, those deans, and department chairs. I did not email the full Senate because this is so faculty focused, and I honestly, I just sent so many emails to so many large groups of people. I decided not to add that one. If you, as a staff senator or a student senator, would like to see this, email me and I'll be happy to share the document with you, or it's 4 documents. So because I saw that these changes are being proposed, they're going to create a lot of controversy because the provost just made that. I mean, it's not official, it's a draft, but did it all with her office. And so now the governance leaders are rising up and saying, wait a minute. And so that's happening. I asked, so we created a year ago or so, a little more than that, a chairs council, which we took the department chairs and made them their own governance body so that they could elect a chair to represent them. So they aren't just represented by the provost, which is a supervisory role. The chair of the Chairs Council is Mike Napolitano, who is the chair of the Business and Technology Department. I asked him after I saw this draft come through if he thought we should pause on what the Chairs Council has put together and approved, which is the draft that you saw, and wait to see what's happening with the bylaws. He thought we should go ahead because so that we can move along with our governance plan to get it sent to the Board of Trustees. That's also open for debate. So I now open up for discussion, whatever you have to say about, and if you didn't see it, try to pull up your email and look at that, the proposed document for chairs. Thomas and then Anthony.
So I have several comments. One is 0.6 of part B, where it says that be responsible for the work of the department's committee on personnel and budget with they chair. So they, and I don't usually correct, I make ground, that's wrong, but I thought the chair of the personnel and budget committee department is the chairperson of the department. So this language makes it sound like the chair of the department is not chair of the departmental personnel and budget committee.
They're using the singular they. There's a new thing.
But if this is the responsibility of the chairperson,
Yeah.
then what they're trying to, this is reading as the chairperson of the department will work with the department's committee on personnel and budget with chair, with
themselves.
Oh, the wording is weird.
They're the chair of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's fine. Okay,
Okay.
sorry. So I just want to make sure they're not introducing another chair.
I don't think so.
Okay, the other thing is it also mentions a leadership team for departments. So is that somewhere else explained what the leadership team is?
Some departments have it and some departments don't.
Which point, 15?
I think so. Leadership team, yes.
15.
And then my last point is, this is a document about chair responsibilities, not about how you elect a chair. So point C should not be included in responsibilities of a chair because it's how they are elected. It has nothing to do with the responsibilities of a chair. In addition, the language that's included, I'm uncomfortable with the college's past practice. Because it clearly states bylaws, which are clear in the bylaws. But when we're saying the college's past practice, the college has done not so great past practice in the, right? And unless that practice is noticed and it's grieved by the union, it's just practice. So now this I kind of think indoctrinates practice that's not the best in following policy, and it gives us precedent. So now when there's a practice that we want to put into governance, we could just do it and decide college's past practice. I'm uncomfortable with a language of because it was past practice, because several past practices have not been in accordance with policies in the bylaws. So I'm a little iffy about putting that language.
So
in
the
there.
question specifically is who votes for department chair? And LaGuardia's practice has been different than what the bylaws say. So you're questioning using past practice as, I think it's mentioned as a grounds, as a foundation for articulating it this way, because we've been doing it. The chairs are saying, we want to continue doing it this way and make it efficient. Is the question, we shouldn't be doing it this way at all? Or is the question, should we mention practice in the document?
And that goes for anything, like any language or anything. But my other concern is it shouldn't be in this because it's not a duty of a chair. And
So
this is responsibilities of a chair.
let me just, for the first part, we might need to change the title of this document so that it covers the election of chairs, because it's not been ever documented anywhere. So, Tricia, you've been working on the revision of the governance plan. Does this document need to be renamed, or will it have a different name in the governance plan?
It's article, I think it's considered article 9, the duties and responsibilities of the chair. And so we can just name it something else. We can't set it up an organization because article 8 is the community. So we can't have this.
No, but you're talking about bylaws. We're talking about the government plan. for the
No,
college.
in our governance plan, it's article 9 too. It happens to be article 9. So
Okay.
it's gonna be the chair's duties and responsibilities. So you're right, the elections are something a little different, but I think they'll belong there because otherwise we need a separate article.
Can we put it in the article that refers to who votes for departmental and divisional P and D? There is a section of our governance plan from 2009 that states that.
And it's still in article 8, it's still there. I think but it's the election and the voting for the P and D, which is slightly different from the election for the chair.
So we don't know where to put it.
So I think we can have a different section and still leave it as article 9.
So, well, we might be standing rules.
But
Let's,
I understand, I see your point.
Yeah, it's not a duty of the
Have to have a bylaw.
let's hold on, we'll take that feedback and see if we can adjust it so it fits. Let me clarify though, Thomas, with you. Are you concerned about including the phrase based on past practice? Or including that, lab technicians vote for chair?
No, I'm not comfortable with past practice.
Past
Because
practice.
I think it just sets a precedent that in other past practices that come up, regardless whether or not how much they deviate from policy, that could be an issue, because then we're like, all right, well, we used it. So now and I'm not even a lawyer.
Yeah.
I'm just a biologist. But I'm just not comfortable with past
As a questionable way to justify,
I think you should list it.
list everything, but remove past practice.
Just list everything, say, are eligible to serve, blah, 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 eligible to vote, blah, blah, blah.
Just specify what it is.
Yeah, okay, Rebecca in the chat suggested duties and election of department chairs as a heading. Because then that would cover both aspects. Are there other comments? Anthony and then Simon.
So, first of all, considering what you said about the other memo, is some of this in conflict with the vice chancellor's? Like that's, since I haven't seen that, I mean, that's one concern. Because I mean, if they're in direct conflict, then obviously they're not gonna okay this. But my bigger question and concern with this, as one of the people who was on the original governance plan revision committee, we talked about this originally, we had broken this up, we broke up the article, and we all agreed, we were faculty, staff, everybody was on that. And we all pretty much agreed that everyone should be able to vote for chair, every full-time employee in the department. Obviously, this was then taken to the chairs made their decisions. Whether it was discussed or not, I don't know, but I would like to see civil service and other full-time people in the department get a vote. Okay? Also, we've said that we wanted to be able to vote on the senator as well in the departments. And I don't know where that would fit into this, because that's not necessarily in this part. But both of those things were in the governance revision group, and then that was taken out because that was going to go to the chairs and such and such. So I will, I am vehemently against saying that, one full-timer and another full-timer, one's more important than another and they get to vote and they don't. If we are all full-time in the department, we should all have a say in our chair, who is our boss. If we are all full-time in the department, we should all have a say in our senator, who is representing us. Sandra does not represent me, unfortunately, because she represents the department, and I'm only in the department conveniently, when it's not, when it's certain things. So, it's not, our past practice has been garbage when it comes to that, to be honest. So having CLTs get to vote, okay, when normally other schools don't let them, was one of the things that opened that door when we started talking about it in the revision committee. We said, hey, it's not just faculty that get to vote in these positions. So yes, we should include all full-timers. And again, that was something that we, Patricia, we all agreed that that was something that we were comfortable with. Because one vote, one or two votes is two secretaries, three secretaries, not gonna make a difference. It's not like saying we should be chair, but we should have a say in who our boss is, just as every other member of the department. So if you're saying full-time, then that's, that covers everybody.
So for students,
So-
there are full-time members of the administrative staff of an academic department like math or English, who are HEOs, their statuses, and they can vote for chair, but those who are classified employees, cannot. So, and that's the issue. Suma and then Patricia.
So, I think, Anthony answered part of it. I'm trying to understand how is this policy different? How has it changed? What are
There was no policy before. This did not exist at LaGuardia. So there was nothing in the governor's plan about chairs.
So what about that section?
This is new.
That's the article about the chair's responsibility. What I'd like to point out is when it comes to Article 8 and 9, the CUNY Manual of Policy, Section 2.08, says that the Board of Trustees will approve Article 8 and 9 that diverge from the bylaws, so that they can do colleges to recognize the independence and difference in every college. The Board of Trustees is amenable to accept Article 8 and 9, organized differently from the bylaws. CUNY Manual on Policy, Section 2.8 with 2.08 with references to the Board of Trustees where it was done.
Thank you, Patricia. I'm really glad you're here.
I can see something.
No, but we're responding to you, Patricia, because I understand that.
Thomas
But-
and then
but that-
Jill.
it's
Hold
not
on,
quite
Thomas.
the same
Thomas.
yourself,
Thomas,
because-
Thomas, I'm in the middle of acknowledging you and giving you the
Okay.
floor as the chair. Okay, you may have it.
Because in the bylaws, 8.1, 8.2, on that, there's only two sections in the whole bylaws that says that the college's governance plan will supersede the bylaws if there's disparity in how it's being read.
This is
Yeah.
the CUNY Manual of Policy, Section 2.0. CUNY Manual of Policy,
But-
Section 2.0.
But leave her, Thomas.
Okay.
She studied it a lot. Sabine and then Jill.
So I'm just gonna make a comment, so this is. Patricia was, I guess, seeing my reaction to Anthony's, statement. I just think that it's gonna go, that idea of every member of a particular department, whether or not they're faculty and staff, gets to vote on a chair, just cuts against tradition of higher education with faculty. That's something, that's a practice. That's something that's acknowledged, that's something that, just the same way faculty dig in heels when they talk about their First Amendment rights and free speech, that will never happen.
Here's the thing, LaGuardia has, since the first finished governance plan, allowed staff and students to vote on curriculum, which goes totally against higher education practice. So LaGuardia has, our ancestors have charted a different course for this college.
So my question to the faculty in the room, how would they feel that staff gets to vote on people's chair?
They already do. EOs and
Yeah.
CLTs do. The
Oh,
only ones that are left out are non-instructional staff. So in my department in the humanities, where you have 65 people, you have one person that can vote, only one. And that just, it's absurd at this point. If we were only allowing faculty, I can see your point, but we allow faculty, EOs to vote. And the only person, one person in the department. So the one who probably
Broken
works
away
the
from that.
closest.
Right.
And that's just, let me just be clear, I'm really concerned that we have to huge tradition and no, I recognize our government structure, so I shut up about it. It's a major consideration.
Yeah, and Sabine, just to say one more thing is that when we did the revision plan for the PNB article, we looked at all the articles in Q. I mean, everybody does everything. There is not one thing that is similar to another. And so the idea that the bylaws supersede, it's not true, because otherwise everybody would do the same thing and nobody goes.
Rebecca's had her hand up.
That was one of the things I wanted to say, but then I'll talk after Rebecca.
Okay, Rebecca, go ahead.
Hi, I just wanted to ask questions about number 2 and number 4 in A, role of chair. So in number 2, it says assign courses and arrange programs. And I think the chair does not always directly do this. Sometimes they are working with program directors and other people. Should we include language that indicates this? It's not all determined by the chair alone.
And this is precisely what the university provost is changing to make it the provost working with the chairs decides. Well, and I have to pull up the exact wording, which I can. So it's that issue is key, and the wording that our chairs council used for this is from the bylaws, or I don't know if it's the bylaws or
They did.
So I wonder if we can add language after it then, like in conjunction with program directors and other department leaders or something, to acknowledge that they don't just assign things. It's not just the chair sitting down and assigning all courses and all programs.
What the provost, the university provost proposed change is to say works with the school's dean, or where no dean is present, the provost to develop a schedule each semester that is based on student need and demand and college or system guidelines. So that's a change that's coming, but that's the first proposal. I don't know how far that will get. But that is a fair point, to include mention of program directors.
Well, you have to be careful of the language there, because I know there's some course coordinators, there's program directors, there's.
Right.
So just to be, but you're absolutely right in that.
Program leadership or something.
Right. The language needs to take into consideration the different terminology and the different structure in each department. But you're right in that there's
Okay.
delegation that happens there that's not taken into account in the wording of the document.
Okay.
And I wouldn't want it to be that someone could point to this and say, well, the chair gets to just assign everyone to every class. And that's not really how it goes. So I'd rather have it delineated here. My other question was about number 4. It says represent the department before the faculty council or faculty senate. So the chairs don't come and represent the department. So what does this mean? I don't know if this is.
Yeah, I'm sure it came from the bylaws or the manual for general policy also. They could, if we ask them to, right? But is it anything you would object to?
Well, I think the wording is key though, because if you elect a senator and you have someone representing, I think that's a good point. I think that's a good point. It's like,
Yeah, it's
who's
a
really the
senator.
rep?
Yeah, I mean, is this more like they determine who will represent the department at these places? Is that the role of the chair, to determine who does the representation rather than they themselves represent? I don't know. The wording here doesn't represent what we do. That's what my
Thank
question
you.
is.
I'll pass that. What I'm doing is I'm making notes that I'm gonna pass on to the chair of the Chairs Council. They, it may not appear this way. They apparently have had a lot of debate and worked hard to come to agreement on this, but they want our input, we'll give them input and then we'll see what other draft, and that's it, that makes sense. Okay,
And if I may,
Yes.
Mr. Benjamin, the infusion of, non-instructional staff, that, Anthony is right, I mean, it was one of the things, like, one of the most important suggestions made was to really include, non-instructors. Then to whatever, and she was not opposed to this.
so, yeah. Roman, and then, oh, sorry, Jill, and then, yeah.
I just want to bring in some point and as a potential as well, so don't teaching faculty, they say faculty, something kind of not like maybe, but out in the environment, depends on the chair. They should be part of the election, but
Can I interrupt, Elizabeth, do you know the name of the person who's supposed to come take our photo?
Oh, not Anastasia.
Yes, Anastasia. Oh, look. All right, thank you. I was gonna send you, welcome Anastasia. Give us just a moment. We're gonna hear from Jill and then,
I've got another comment.
and then Anthony, and then we're gonna pause and take our photo.
So my first question was, did the chairs discuss allowing
I
additional
asked,
members to vote and just,
no,
or
I
just forgot to?
I asked, they did not, they
Okay.
weren't aware of including it, and they wanted, if Senate requested that they look at that, they would be open to looking at it.
We request. The second thing I wanted to just bring people's attention to is point 14, where it says appoint program directors. This is something that we are discussing in social science this month at our department meeting. I didn't know if this was the practice of other departments.
Point as opposed to,
Well, somebody, I guess a few members of our faculty brought it to our chair saying, we're interested in the process by which people become program directors. Can we have a conversation about this? So we've been having conversations in our department about how people become program directors and have been debating whether or not it should be purely an appointment process or whether there should be some sort of an election. And we've been wading through all of this and plan to kind of discuss it a little bit more at our meeting next week. But that's why it kind of caught my attention, and I was wondering if other programs do this, if they do something differently, and how they feel about it, just because we seem to be confronting this issue in our department.
I've made a note, oh, Anthony, and then we're taking a photo.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So I forgot one other crucial thing that was discussed in the original governance plan revision, which is missing from here as well. If you look at Article 15, Section 15, it says, you know, for the mentoring of faculty, you know, we set expectations and goals for the mentoring of faculty. Again, the chair is not running just faculty. There are staff in the department. I think that the chair's responsibility also needs to extend to the staff of the department. I think they need to mentor us. I think they need to work with us, not just give us an evaluation and say, here, you know, so I think everything where it says faculty in here, and that was part of the discussion that we had agreed to, that, you know, there should be stuff in there about supervising and mentoring everyone in the department. We are all equals, again. You know, we're not faculty, but we're all equal full-time employees in the department.
Can I respond to that?
Yes.
So let me just, I want to point out, I guess this goes to the academic structure. So the chair of the department presents faculty for tenure and promotion at Collinswood. It's a different voting process than for
understand.
And
that's P&B.
Yes, so
But this is-
the chair of the department is going to represent faculty differently than other staff. So that's key there, right? Because those faculty that, if they don't get tenure, they're fired, and that's it, they're not here anymore. It's right, it's not like in Hill Lines, you're here for 7 years. Get it. Faculty have to go through a whole process every year, and they represent them. So in that duty of a chair, that goes a little bit different from representing other staff. I understand. they should have a
Representing role is
supervisor-
different, yes. Supervisory role still
I
applies.
just want credit for that. I asked Michael to put that back and started it.
Yeah. Michelle did it.
I think you're right. There's no reason why we can't ensure that staff get whatever professional development they need.
I'm trying to take a photo,
Yeah,
but Tricia has her hand up and Sabine has her hand up.
If I remember, and then probably severely correctly, I think that heroes are not necessarily appointed in the department. Like they're appointed at the college. I don't know that they're necessarily appointed in the humanities department, for example, and therefore are meant to be mentored by the chair of the department. I think here's a slightly different question as to, same thing for non-instructional staff. If you are appointed in your department, then you may become the responsibility of the chair. If you're appointed at the college, I don't know that you're the responsibility of the chair. And I think that's a question of organization of the campus, rather than whether or not it is a responsibility of the, whereas as Tom said, the faculty, as Tom has said, the faculty are the responsibility of the chair.
Yeah, okay.
Can I just say this last thing? Bottom line, a chair who's overseeing many different areas, different types of staff and faculty, they need to understand the protocols for each and supervise accordingly. Because we have the same thing in ACE in regards to HEAL versus faculty versus a COT.
Yeah, but HEALs are not, they don't answer to faculty. That's the thing, is that if you're in a department, you make the HEAL answer to faculty members. HEAL are not, and same, they're not, they don't work in the law. But I think it's a question of organization.
Yeah.
Loretta, did you want to say something?
Please, when a HEO staff member and I'll speak as broadly for college, office assistants, other staff, when they are assigned to a particular area, they are responsible and report to the person in charge of that area. In an academic department, it is to the chair, unless a program coordinator is their assigned supervisor. But Anthony's point that every member of LaGuardia's employee staff, and that includes faculty, every employee of LaGuardia should be afforded both appropriate supervision and professional development opportunity. No, it's not that they're the same, but they need to be afforded the opportunity. So I take exception to what Thomas was saying, but it's not that it's the same. We have structure that we need to go through. We get reappointed, and if you're not reappointed, you're gone. Faculty actually have more permanence than HEOs do, even tenure versus 13.3B. So there are many rules, and it's up to the chair who's responsible for knowing all the rules of the people in his department or her department.
All right, I'm gonna pass this feedback along. Arts photography.
Yeah, traditionally, HEALs were not an academic department. That's where we're at, is that people have been appointed in area, yeah, exactly. So as the college changes, the rules have to change.
All right, good. Thank you all for this feedback. If you are a senator or an alternate senator, please line up and let the photographer guide us.
Can we use this wall?
We can use any wall you want.
No, but the projector has to go up and it has to go off, or like turn out.
Sorry, you all.
Minimize.
You know, yeah.
We can't use the there to more backdrop because that's our logo.
I'd like to not,
No, just minimize, yeah. And we.
Well, you know, I just know that it's not in line. We didn't get. Yeah.
And then A is.
Yeah, so I can't think of it badly.
We can't move this very well though, because it's all taped down. But we can. Can I do it? No, can you not? It's gonna be so hard. You did. Okay, it's really hard to get everybody together and the system working.
Take it up in front of the flags, this wall.
Yeah.
Wherever everyone. We're not there to do more anymore, so I can't.
Oh, we're not.
We're not there until. What's the new, I just know that's not a thing. So like. That's the new logo. Yeah. Okay. This is the new. Not yet.
In today's campus update, like a whole new visual identity, a link to our new visual.
Okay.
It's in today's campus
That's why it needs to
My left.
Can I have like maybe the last three? Yeah. Where do you want?
Yeah.
I'm trying to get it without.
The cards are.
Yeah.
You did a whole.
Well, yeah, it's not in the center. Yeah. I'm in the center, like, I'm like.
That's where we're gonna sit here.
All right, are you ahead?
Okay, are you guys ready? All right, 3, 2, 1.
I'm taking you, right?
Yeah. So like, yeah, the one.
That's why I can't.
Excuse me, I'm picking up. Picking up. Hey, how's it going, man?
How are you?
I think it was right here in the middle.
Oh, they're leaving.
Yeah. Because where the meeting is still going. We have a couple of agenda items.
So, some of us are gonna. But, you know, and on-site.
Watch it.
They just have any specific.
I went there quite a lot. And they're like just like students.
Yeah. So I should, you all gotta get together again. So, yeah, otherwise. Oh, yeah. All right, you all on Zoom, can you hear us? Yeah, see us? Oh, yeah. All right, I'm calling the meeting to order. Again, we're not done. Try to put the projector down. Yeah. On the wall. That light. If you are a senator or an alternate senator, we are talking, we're meeting. Anthony and Patricia. Some, I don't have to go. Oh, thank you. All right, again, thank you for the good feedback on, the chair's duties, that addition for the governance plan. And I am now, next on the agenda is the chair's report, and then we're finally on to committee reports, and we should be good. Before I forget, committee chairs, I know, Derek, I see you, thank you for being here. And, I know a few of you are here. If, let me remind you, if you are a committee chair and you have nothing to report, you don't have to give a report, just to free you up for that. So because we want to be as efficient as possible, everyone does not need to expect to have a report at every meeting. A few things. I want to publicly thank Jill, who's not even in the room. Right there. Oh, there she is. For leading the January meeting while I was away. It's obviously, it's not a pass, and I thank her, and thank you for those of you who were able to show up. I understand the weather wasn't so good that day, and there was a lot of illness going around, and I also understand that there was some question that came up about why we use Robert's rules, which are tedious and annoying. I don't know, but I wanted to just say, and I may say it a few times in the course of my Senate chairpersonship. Robert's rules are honestly annoying, but very, very standard for governing boards and bodies like this of all kinds. And we want the Senate to be respected. We want our work not to be called into question. And so we are going to be on the bandwagon of Robert's rules because it helps to ground our work, make sure that all voices are heard in our meeting, make sure that our meetings are conducted in an orderly fashion. And even when I don't understand why it's so tedious, we're still going to do our best to follow it because it's the norm in these meetings. I have heard faculty governance, shared governance like Senate's described in higher education as toothless, right? There's not, you're right, we can make our decisions. The president or the chancellor can overturn, and the board of trustees can overturn any of them. We want to do the best we can to do the best work that we can to really make grounded, sound decisions that will carry respect. And I think Robert's rules, following Robert's rules to the best of our ability is part of that. So thank you to Erica for being our great parliamentarian, for Leslie, our past parliamentarian, and just the skill that they bring. Another question I understand came up, and it's something we need to address regarding who votes between Zoom and in-person attendance. You all, hopefully by now, have learned that the open meetings law, which was paused for COVID and now reinstated post-COVID, allows for a high flex meeting like ours, where some people can join on Zoom, only if two things: we have in-person quorum, the law requires, and second, that we post a recording of our meeting on the internet within 5 days of the meeting, which I will do tonight, because I remembered to record. Which means that our photo op was on there too. Fine, oh well, just realized that. There is nothing specifying who votes between in-person and Zoom attendance. Our practice has been that if you are in person as an alternate, you are helping us reach quorum, but if your senator is on Zoom, the senator votes. The rationale for that practice is just that it was off the top of my head when the situation arose and I had to decide. That's been what we've done. We'll look at that question again. We talked about it briefly in the executive committee. We'll talk about it again. We'll use the Senate Review and Assessment Committee to look at it too. For now, we're going to continue that practice, not to devalue the presence of alternate senators in the room. But I also want to say to everyone present that voting on decisions is not the only, and maybe not even the most important role of being on Senate. A more important role of being on Senate is giving voice to your constituents and reporting back to your constituents what's going on at the Senate or what you're hearing. So it is, and so that means whether you are an alternate or a senator, your capacity to serve as that facilitator of communication is equal, right? Senators vote, but alternates, unless the senator is absent. But alternates have as much responsibility and opportunity to help facilitate that communication between Senate and the college as a whole as the senator does. So you being present in the room, your value does not matter if you can vote or not. Your value is being present to hear what's going on, to speak the concerns you're hearing from your constituents, and to carry the Senate, the work of the Senate back to whoever you represent, whether you're alternate or senator. Three more things. I have continued to serve on LaGuardia's vacancy review board. You may have heard LaGuardia is in less bad financial situation than a few other CUNY colleges who are in worse financial situation. And it's I think the careful management of the budget, well, Patricia, who's chair of the budget committee, can speak to it more. They, Shahir and his staff in the, who is vice president of administration and finance, have really worked hard to manage the college finances well. We're still operating in a budget deficit, a structural deficit, but not as bad as some. Because of that, we are no longer, LaGuardia is no longer subject to the CUNY vacancy review board. So those hiring decisions no longer have to go through the vacancy review board at CUNY. All hiring decisions still go through HR, CUNY HR. So any job posting has to get approved by them. So there's still some scrutiny. They're still looking at cost and how do you justify this, but it is less than it was before. The LaGuardia vacancy review board, on which I sit, has just decided this week to disband. And I want to explain what they're going to do instead. We were still meeting to maintain a level of scrutiny and care in hiring, and this applies not to faculty, it's to all the staff positions. So the initial decision had been to continue LaGuardia's VRB so that scrutiny would continue. However, the decision just this week, when I had like 6 calendar invites all canceled, and I'm like, wait, what's going on with the VRB? Because they were continuing to meet. The decision is this. The vice presidents of each division will now manage their own hiring within their budget. And there are three categories, which are really more two categories of when hiring can happen. It is when there is a new vacancy, a person can be replaced. And whether that vacancy is the person moves somewhere else within the division or leaves the college or retires, that position can be filled. Historic ones, it's harder, right? If they've been vacant for a while, but newer vacancies, the position could be filled. The other exception is when, what's the wording here? When compliance requires a position. mandatory compliance laws require. This is how a new CDO, Chief Diversity Officer, and a Title IX coordinator will be hired because compliance requires it. Now, the Chief Diversity Officer just officially left, but the position's being met, so there's crucial issues regarding compliance with state and federal law. And so, but any hiring happening in those cases is adding to the budget deficit, right? It's coming out of deficit spending. So that's where so the LaGuardia VRB is not going to meet anymore. The VPs are tasked with managing their own hiring. Yes,
Was anything said about reclassifications for HEOs?
reclassifications for HEOs, what I last heard, and I don't know that it was official coming from CUNY, is that there were to be none. But I don't know more than that. I had invited, this is actually my next to last item. The executive committee had decided to invite President Adams to come to this Senate meeting, to answer questions like this, to talk about the status of the budget and the strategic plan and anything else like that, any other questions you had. The Council of CUNY Presidents is meeting right now, so he had a conflict. It's probably good because we have way too full an agenda anyway. So President Adams will come to our next meeting in April and take questions and address those issues. So he's already on the agenda and has agreed, has that on his schedule, but he was unable to attend now. So. But it's also tight for reclassifications. The last thing I wanted to mention is something that I already mentioned. And that is regarding University Provost Wendy Hensel. You saw from me her memo with the response that I was a part of the crafting from the Council of Faculty Governance Leaders to, hey, what are you doing with that, basically minimizing faculty role in decisions regarding curriculum and teaching at the college. In follow, I just wanted to make you aware of my involvement in that. She came to the UFS meeting last time. I went with, sat by Patricia. I went as a guest, although faculty governance leaders are always have a name badge for me, but I'm not a voting member of that body. But to hear what she had to say, she's taken a lot of feedback from the governance members for minimizing or for overlooking the role of faculty governance in curriculum and teaching decisions. It continues because she has already produced this draft of revisions of the bylaws and a couple of parts of the CUNY Manual of General Policy. And so we're involved in responding to those. She's seeking feedback. I think she's going to get a lot. So that's going on, and it's important work. I'd be happy to inform you at any point about what's going on my end, but I'm going to stay involved in that, and it matters to maintain faculty control over curriculum at CUNY and all of its colleges. So that's the end of my chair's report. Are there any questions about that or additional comments? Okay. Then we are on to committee reports. And again, if you don't have a committee report, you don't need to have a report, but I welcome all of these reports. Committee on committees, again, now you will meet after this meeting to elect a chair and resume the work. We heard from the curriculum committee, academic standing committee. Katrina, is there anything more to report?
Nope, already reported. Thanks.
Great, you did plenty of work for this last term. Committee on campus affairs.
Nothing to report.
Committee on faculty, Daniel.
Nothing for, we will meet 15 minutes after.
Great. Committee on professional development, Derek posted in the chat because he had to leave. There's another room at Chowdhury Research Colloquium on May 17th. Diversity and Inclusion Subcommittee is looking into having in-person sessions moving forward, and they're looking to recruit new members. So there's a subcommittee, a professional development committee of the Senate that is focused on diversity and inclusion, who are looking for new members, if that's something interesting to you or you're willing to step up. Spring 24 edit application, funding professional development projects is now available. and due by March 27th. And the Faculty and Staff Excellent Awards Subcommittee has prepared documentation that they have shared with the Senate's Committee of Faculty and the Senate's Committee of Staff and Alumni for their discussion. Those discussions, I believe, will happen today for Committee of Faculty and for Committee of Staff and Alumni. The awards will not begin in this spring, but rather next year. So there's new, and you may be aware, may not, a new program initiated by the provost to give some faculty awards, and we emphasize staff awards too. So a plan has been put together that will be up for discussion in those two committees today. So I think that's the end of the Professional Development Committee's report. Budget and Finance Committee, Patricia.
Okay, so I just got the budget, like some budget numbers from CUNY, the enrollment. And the fact is that CUNY gives us the difference between fall 22 and fall 23. They're preliminary numbers in terms of enrollment because they have to count fall 2 for us. So usually we don't appear as good because by the time they crunch the numbers, they're only looking at half of what people fall. So right now, according to them, it's an increase in enrollment at 2% and an increase at FTE for 4% enrollment, but FTE is 2% or the other way around. So the head count is more than the FTE, which makes sense, right? So because the FTE is 30 credits as an FTE, so head count might be more because not every student is taking, the same number of credits. So I think we'll get final numbers. As Christy said, LaGuardia is not in the schools that are in danger for this year. However, because of the city budget, we may get what the president called that opening session another, what they call the PEG, which is really a cut in the budget. So we don't know. We're waiting for the city budget to see if we're going to have another one or not, and to see what comes up with the state budget. So that's one thing. I think the city has agreed, though, that the budget for the schools, the base budget will be the same, even if enrollment goes down. I think they're not going to deduct the budget with the enrollment. That's what I've understood. The president didn't say that, but I think it is in the budget, because I heard it somewhere else. We're going to keep the same budget, even if the enrollment declines, the same base budget. So
I heard that too.
yeah, you heard that.
Yes.
So that's good news on that level. Our budget committee is meeting probably next week, and so we'll see. What we're waiting for is whether or not there'll be another cut, right? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. And I heard, Rochelle, we heard at cabinet in the first week of class, that enrollment at that point was up 16% over last year. So there may be some drops with the drop, the
Just, I'd like to make a note on that. So there are some students who, are getting dropped because they're not meeting the prereq correct. So you may see some of that, come to your department, ask them to be reinstated in the class. But, I have to drop the students if they're not meeting the prereq correct. So, initially, usually every session, this review, because of the short time that we have between sessions, there's not enough time to review all of the, because we have to review the rosters one at a time for all the rosters.
Yeah.
We changed the process a little bit, so now we're doing it through data and just compiling all the data for the previous term, matching it up to the current term to make sure there are no students registered who don't meet the prerequisite. Students have the ability to register, or let's say they register for English 101, they can register for English 102 in spring, all the way back in fall. But they never, if they don't initially drop it themselves or change the class, then they just stay in the class unless we drop it. So
if they don't pass.
if they don't pass and they don't drop, so we're capturing those students this week. Earlier this week, we sent an email out to about 68 students who were dropped to that. There will be another 40 or so on review. That number might change by today, so that's my word.
And here you are, thank you for being here. And let me just say, students, Senator Hashim is the college registrar, so. Go ahead.
I have two questions. One, I thought CUNY first was able to put a stop to prevent students from registering for a course they had not yet met the prerequisites.
We can, but based on previous policies at LaGuardia, we've allowed students to register. Otherwise we would have issues with enrollment numbers not being accurate and waiting till they get the grading. Let's say they're taking a class in fall session 2, they would then have to wait for a grade until all the way until the end of the session to register for a class. And then the class may not fill and the class cancellations are decided way before that. So there's a couple of different layers. So the students are able to register early, but if they don't get a passing grade or if they get it incomplete, they're supposed to be dropped or drop the class and take an alternate class for that term.
But I don't know.
Out of the thousands and thousands of students that we have, relatively 200 to 300 students every session get dropped due to the co-rec and pre-rec students.
And my second, thank you for that. And my second question is are there no negative impacts financially on the students because?
It's a possibility, it's a
Would they be
possibility.
waived
We do,
because
so we
it's
have,
managed by your office?
so we have we send an email notification to speak to an academic advisor and inform the students that they have the option of registering for session 2. So if they're dropped from the class in session 1, they can have the option of adding another class into session 2.
I know, but I was thinking about the during the drop period, where they're able to get a percentage.
Oh, no, so these students, because this is for administrative purposes, they're not incurring charges
Very good.
for the drop.
Thank you.
Annette?
I had a question because we factor the students' enrollment as a financial aid survey, which is the end of the drop period. So, will allowances be done for those students? For example, we may have captured their enrollment as a full-time student, now that 1 or 2 classes may have to be dropped. And if they were to pick up that course in session 2, we would know that that student did not deliberately register after the financial aid survey, so in the same office. So we will talk about.
Talk about that.
We'll talk about.
Yeah,
all
that's
that
it.
and see how we can, meet those students' needs. They're not
It's
negative.
all interesting and complicated. None of it has to do directly with the budget committee report,
Yeah,
which is
sorry.
what we're on. Although I brought up enrollment too. Rochelle, is
I'm
it?
sorry, this is budget related, though. I think students in my said, 2 of them said they would drop. Those are usually, in the class, and I tried to say that, but you the contact of the.
Oh, we don't do those
I mean,
drops, that's the first off.
The verse out of it.
That's it.
All right, there's many things to understand. Back to committee reports. Thank you very much. I'll roll that down. Committee of Staff and Alumni.
So we met in January and we had a discussion about some concerns that employees had about how we can make certain things on HR's website a little bit more clear for staff and employees, certain things such as retirement, sick time, things like that. So overall, it was a tough discussion, but we had it and we pretty much ultimately decided that we would work with HR along with communication to identify some of those particular things that members of the committee address and see how we can communicate that to the college community on the website.
Great. Very good. All right, thank you, Denise. Committee of Students. So, Johnny. No report. So, but you have a wish list. You've gotten some feedback on the wish list. Have you seen the feedback?
Yeah.
Okay, and I know, if you had a conversation? Not yet. We will. You're gonna, okay. Let me say that, I have heard it from the cabinet meeting, that there is great concern about how to communicate with students. And if I remember right, that is also something on your wish list. So because the president of the college, the vice president of student affairs, all the leadership of the college also is recognizing the big problem that this is. there's a lot of motivation to figure out how to address it. I recommended the Senate's Committee of Students as a resource for perhaps creating focus groups or getting more input. So if that is on your list, there's going to be motivation from the administration of the college to figure out how to address this. So that's something that you could, if you choose to prioritize and come up with some suggestions for how to gather more information from students about not why they don't read their email, but what can be done to improve ways to meet the needs of students in terms of letting them know what's going on. So, thank you, Sogan. Committee on Elections, you heard from me about that and a little bit from Patricia about that. And if you are so moved, or maybe I can move you, consider joining that committee. Executive Committee, Transfer Committee, I don't see Alexa or Alex or Misan, but,
No report.
oh, there's
Yeah,
a, great. There's a new mission statement, though. There's a new mission statement. For the Transfer Committee.
Oh.
The Transfer Committee has a mission statement, which it can go on the college the Senate website has a Transfer Committee. Remind her to get it to me. And we will make sure that you're able to see the new mission statement of the Transfer Committee. The focus of the Transfer Committee, the thing that struck me from the mission statement is it clarifies for me, the Transfer Committee of the Senate is faculty facing. Meaning if there's to build awareness of transfer issues for faculty in their support of students. I saw from Rebecca, no report from the Food Insecurity, Justice and Community Need Committee. IT Advisory Committee, I don't see Jamie or Ian. History Committee.
I have Charles' report.
Charles, do you want, Jill, do you want to tell us Charles' report?
Charles' voice? No. Through the assistance of Thomas Cleary, the institutional archivist, the committee will be getting the assistance of Liz Beasy, Liz. Liz is an institutional archives research assistant at LaGuardia on the NEH Oral History Grant. And an invite letter will be sent out this month to those previously identified by the committee and reported to the body last year. Current members are Hugo, Suman, and Charles.
Great. Thank you very much. Let me, okay.
Yeah, I think you're on the email. I just happened to notice it as I was checking it on kids.
Then, Online Learning Committee, we've seen something that came from you. Sandra, is there anything else to report? Senate Supplemental Review Committee is on brief hiatus. We'll pick it up in April, I believe. Advisory Council, do you have anything going on?
Just that we've been working on a communication plan for faculty mentors. Please contact your representative from the advisory council. There's going to be a standard email text. If you want to change your pronouns, let your advisory council person know. Otherwise, there'll be no pronouns. And if you don't want to use the default message, then contact your advisor. But do, because they're sending that out any day.
Great. And that's the end of the committee reports. We have, as far as I know, no unfinished business. Is there any new business? This is your opportunity to bring something to the Senate for discussion. Thomas.
So I was at the MCC for a meeting.
Yeah.
And I noticed their lovely little turnstile things and
Yeah.
and I just want to put a plug in that I think it's something worth looking at, because I think it could just help manage some issues. So I was in line waiting to go to the meeting, and the public safety officer was dealing with a student who hasn't not yet got their ID card. And he was like, let me talk, and the student is like, listen, we said it, you didn't get your ID card, I'm putting it in the system. So if you don't get the ID card by the end of today, no matter who you go to, they'll see that you've been blocked out because you didn't listen to us. And I think it could be empowering for our public safety officers, and I think it could streamline communication.
Let me pause you right there.
I'm just like.
I'm gonna say, so there's strong interest in it from the administration, trying to get funding from CUNY. Some faculty are opposed. Some are not, so there needs to be more discussion. But I will acknowledge that vote, affirming it, and the concern? What's what's the other side?
My only concern is that they're trying to improve campus safety with a mechanism that has no effectiveness on campus safety. If there are other reasons to pursue turnstiles, such as we can't get anybody to be a public safety officer, therefore we need automated technology, I will consider that as an option. But if they're doing it purely for safety reasons, I would argue that that doesn't make sense from a budget perspective, because it doesn't improve campus safety.
All right,
Just for everybody, the budget is a capital improvement budget, so it doesn't come out of the budget that we all understand that tax levy budget. Those are capital improvements, so if CUNY gets the funding, it's like any other things that's done, renovation of this room or that, it doesn't come out of the budget, because everybody's gonna say, well, we have a deficit and we go to terms.
Right, it's not like we can say, let's take that and use it for this instead, but I would hate to see money be put towards something that is not effective for the purpose that we're seeking it
Well,
for.
mine was just
So-
like extra information to say,
Yeah.
you know, if we had a deficit, why do you?
So, debate will likely ensue. So where we are in that process is, I believe that Shahir, VP Irfan of Administration and Finance, has put together a proposal that has been sent to CUNY for, as part of a request for funding to make it happen. And it would be in the E building and the C building.
Can I just, like, I was at the labor management, meeting with last week, you know, between the president and the union. I mean, it seemed to me that it was more a done deal than anything else, like, the president was, you know, very forceful about, you know, this is, we have the safety, we're concerned about safety, so safety was our view. And the president didn't seem to say that it was up for discussion, so.
I will keep that in mind. I was going to say something to the president and cabinet on Monday, and he's not there. So, I mentioned it to his chief of staff and heard about the labor management meeting, and I'll continue relaying that at least if it's going to move forward, there needs to be a rationale. Thomas is on board, but I think there may be other people.
Yeah, but not from a safety issue.
Right.
I mean,
There's
I think
a
from
management-
efficiency
There
and
could be a solid reason to have it with regard to the fact that we have no public safety officers, apparently nobody's applying for the position because it doesn't pay anything. So we may in fact need some sort of automated system because we don't have the personnel. But if that's the reason for getting it, then I would like to see some talk around that, you know, or the fact that if they're gonna promote it as this campus safety solution, then I'd like to LBS on that, because all of the empirical research suggests that it does not improve campus safety, so sell it to us for what it's for.
Students, do you want to say anything?
When I the building required to maybe show my ID to a person that's like on a desk further away.
Yeah.
Usually there's like two people that come at the same time and it doesn't really work like that.
Yeah.
My understanding, wouldn't the new system like scan your ID on your app, your LaGuardia app, and in that way, public safety will be able to know who's on campus and have an idea of where they are, which could be presented to me as a way that can improve our public safety by identifying where like a problem student.
Gina?
So, is there a mechanism for like Jill's feedback to get to the decision makers? Because, okay, the other concern I have, like why, but, there are some students on campus with weapons. And the turnstile wouldn't prevent that. But maybe they should think of a method that.
What it would do, what it would,
I'm sorry.
now, what it would do is a student who's been flagged for conduct issues, and this happens, that they're revoked access to the campus, but it's very difficult to catch them and keep them from coming in, and this would allow flagging of their ID.
It was a very good discussion this morning on the garden and their workshop. Turnstile, so if anybody is interested to listen to the different, you know, opinions about turnstiles and the idea that if you're talking about safety, you know, it's almost like in the subway. The people, are you going to check everybody's bag? Even if you do, chances are people bring a weapon, have it on themselves, not in a bag. So safety is, well, listen to the bar now.
No, I will,
I think, for efficiencies, it makes sense, not for the safety reason. The thing is, right now, when I walk through the buildings, it's like, are they really paying attention to everybody's ID when they're looking at it? Yeah, that's number one. And two, if there is a safety officer that is more adamant than others and wants to check every single one, then you're gonna be late to class or late to work because now you have to wait online to get checked in, or verified. So that it's a double-edged sword. I think, we can make the argument for efficiency purpose, not the safety, because again, the arguments here is like, yes, safety is not really, what we're looking at here. It's the efficiency factor. Can I get to class on time? Can I get to, work on time on campus? And I don't have to speak to anybody who's checking and going building. So maybe, and the other side to that is students who are flagging, students, staff, it could be anyone who's flagged that shouldn't be in the building. If we have some sort of mechanism to sign in, it'll stop them at the door. That's the only other thing. It doesn't make us safer, not necessarily, but it adds another layer of efficiency for us overall.
Anthony.
I think this was mentioned at a previous meeting, though, we do have to make sure, that the Wi-Fi and things like that are strong, because a lot of times coming into the building, the app doesn't work, because you're not getting, so you gotta stand there for like 5 minutes, and security's like, okay, yeah, they know, but a door is not gonna do that. So, going along with that, you might be stopped because you're sitting there because you don't have Wi-Fi.
So there's
So
actual
we have to make
research
sure it all
about
works.
how turnstiles add time to entrancing a facility, to coming into a facility, because of obviously like a funneling effect, but also problems with technology. So if an ID doesn't scan, then you have to go to public safety. So like there's actual data around whether it will decrease entrance time or add to entrance time. I just hope that we're looking at that, because obviously I don't have answers to what the unique problem is here.
I'm gonna make a note
Yeah.
to say to the administration, have we looked at the data on turnstiles? And I'll leave it, Thomas.
Just wanna say, do we still have our original physical ID card? We don't have- I have one in my car.
I have my.
That I do see it in there. Well, I mean, cause I know, cause we always do that, but we could break out I might think I had like a stack of those stickers every year.
September 19 with
All right, Roman, and Roman may have one of the last comments today, although I'm not gonna completely.
I wanted to ask, when you have the problem with safety, so the chemical maybe small reports. What is
A small report on the safety situation.
So do we actually need this thing?
I'll mention that, year ago, part of it, we did this tabletop, which I didn't understand what that meant, but a tabletop safety, all like hours-long thing with the leadership, various leadership in the college, terrifying, absolutely terrifying. Working out what we would do in an active shooter situation. So at that point, I was ready to say, bring it on, we need, yeah, but.
That brings me to my point where after the recently bomb threats at Queens College in York, and a little nervous. And not nervous because we're gonna have in here, but what some of the communication factor, I don't feel like we're fully prepared. We don't, talk about, we don't have table meetings about our emergency management plan. I brought this up with Manny Romero. And he said he was bringing it up to the president or executive council, but like nothing's been done.
So there was something was done a year ago,
Many ago, but a year, I don't think I was there. But it wasn't even very effective. It wasn't like talking about, what would be happening on LaGuardia. It's like, these are like, I don't even know.
It is another case of staffing shortages, keep everybody overworked, so that but there's been stuff that's been, well, we can ask a question. We can ask President Adams next meeting when he comes. Rebecca, I see your hand.
I just wanted to ask a question. Has anyone heard, with all the turnstile talk, whether they would even be able to do such a thing in the B building, which we don't own. It might not be equal
No.
around
No,
campus.
No, it would be the E building and the C building. It is why the M building continues to be an exit, not an entrance. I asked to create the habit for, yeah, so there would not be possible in the B building. Yeah, Maritza?
Yeah, I just wanted to just make a comment, and we did have an incident in our program. We had a student who we sent to the wellness center because he was not behaving, or he had some issues actually. They sent him to the hospital. When he got to the hospital, they found he had a machete on him. So now we're concerned because even though he's been banned from the program, from the school, obviously, you know, we don't know if he'll try to come back to our classes. And, you know, we're concerned with the public safety. I mean, there's so many people coming in the building and they have a picture of him, but, you know,
Yeah, they do distribute photos of students who've been banned from campus to the public safety officers that are, but it's a hard process. So, I will take this feedback to the administration for what it's worth. And, see what we can do.
I have a like for what it's worth. Like when we did the C building, I don't know if anyone else experiences this, but I get lost every single time.
Yeah.
There's no signage to say, like, if you wanna go to this office number, you go in this direction, and this is well.
Oh, yeah, to show where to go.
You know, I get a lot of exercise. but-
Yeah.
It's logic.
Yeah,
It's not logic.
it's very clear.
And I don't know.
Suma.
Yeah, so even without turnstiles, if we can have some metal detectors, maybe if students are coming in with you know, machetes and weapons.
And think about the line, think about the line at the airport. Like,
So-
nobody's gonna get into the building ever, because
But
they're
it's
checking
been-
for
Yeah,
keys and belt buckles.
It's an-
I think downstairs would be, you know, if the detector thing is, you know, big enough, people can just walk through it. And
But think about how much metal you have when you go in.
Yeah, all your jewelry.
All your jewelry, I saw, your belt buckles, your keys, it's just not feasible for the volume that we have here.
Hopefully, the machete was a one-off.
No, I just want to point out,
Yeah.
however you feel about it, a lot of faculty are asking for this. So program directors, there are stories we're not hearing, but program directors or people in the department are hearing from faculty, particularly where they feel unsafe, especially the students, which is why the flagging becomes so important. So however we feel, just know that we are approaching Adam with, yes, we want it, no, we don't, and so we need to think about, just to know that. And one other thing, another new business thing, if that's okay. Is that okay, Patricia? Yes, oh my God. I meant to call Patricia. Patricia's gonna report on it, the new faculty, staff, almost the person. Can we talk about that now? Is that okay?
We are at 4:30. So can we
Table it?
put it on the agenda for the April meeting? Is that all right?
Yeah.
Let's do that. April meeting, and yes, and the Senate would be the appropriate place to talk about. We can talk about a little bit, maybe faculty, but because it also impacts staff, it'd be good to talk about it Senate. So let's, put it on the agenda. for April. And that, wait, I put my notes in.
Wait, I have an announcement, can I make an announcement,
Announcement.
please?
Yes.
Thank you, because it's before the next meeting.
Okay.
April 8th, we are hosting, the DEI office is hosting Democracy, Power, and Anti-Semitism, a one-day conference featuring panels with scholars. There's gonna be 3 panels during the afternoon, all arranged around class times. Different disciplines, anthropology, history, cultural studies, talking all about various issues. Which I cannot speak to because that's not my portion of the day. But my portion of the day is in the evening. We are having a joint Passover, Seder, and Iftar celebration in the poolside cafe where we will have food, lots of food. Come on down.
What day again?
So please come. April 8th.
April 8th.
I will be putting,
What time? What time?
I don't know exactly yet because we're confirming food right now. So whatever they can scrounge up the matzah by.
Any other announcements? Alex?
You know, that's the solar.
Oh, that's the day of the solar eclipse. So that's exciting. Any other announcements? Ben, how do I adjourn again? I need a motion to adjourn? Do I need a motion? Can I just adjourn? I can check. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much, everybody.
You better not eat food that I ordered.
Bye, everybody. Thank you. For being here.
Christie, are you aware that Nada's in the hospital?
Hold on, I gotta figure out where I can. Get it.
Right here, leave.
Hey, are you aware? Can you hear me?
Okay, go ahead and ask me your question, Loretta, and then,
Are you aware that Anita is in the hospital?
wait, I still can't hear you. Go ahead, try again.
Are you aware Anita is in the hospital?
No, I'm not. I did not realize.
I will email you.
Please do. Thank you, Loretta. I appreciate that. Okay, and thank you for being here.
Oh, always, as often as I can.
I'm glad. We need your presence, that's for sure.
We miss her presence.
We miss your presence,
By
yeah.
the way, I really miss Senate.
Yeah, well, you might need to come back, but we'll let it go for now.
Listen, how are you gonna fill vacancies? I'll email you. Bye.
Okay, bye. Thank you for being here, Hugo. Bye, Zahara.
So my first thing.